All right, everybody. Here. So, make sure I'm having audio. Okay. For those of you who were with us last week, it was a cluster because I didn't turn the audio on. And it was snowing, and my cat came in and brought a bird in mid-lesson, and it was chaos. So I'm just going to redo last week. So Dear Man version 2.0. As always, please feel free to chat, say something if you're here. And please tell me if you can't hear me, let me know. Okay, Dear Man. Remember, we're in the interpersonal effectiveness module, which is our last module. After this, we'll probably go back and touch on anything that we haven't done, but otherwise, we have basically covered the book. So, interpersonal effectiveness, remember, it's that triangle of Dear Man, give, and fast to maintain your self-respect, meet your objective, and keep a relationship. So we're going to talk about Dear Man, which is on page 125. It is kind of one of the most famous DBT skills, super effective. I use it all the time. You need to practice it, and like you're practicing long division. You got to write it down over and over and over again, and then it will eventually work its way into your brain, and then eventually in any kind of interpersonal situation, it will just kind of pop into your head, and you'll automatically put any of your arguments, as in trying to convince someone of something, into this format. So, let's do an example. If anybody has an example that they want to go over in chat, feel free to say that, and I'll use those examples, but otherwise, let me just find something to make up. All right. So we start off, our Dear Man is writing the in that direction. And you're going to start with describe. Again, a lot of times people will tell me like, oh, I did it. I said this and this and this, and they kind of did it, but they really only did like the D and the M part. You really have to do every single step, and you have to do it in this order for it to be the most effective. Now, if you kind of halfway do it and get your objective met, congratulations. You don't have to worry about doing all the other stuff. But if you didn't, go back and do it in this format. Or if it's a really tricky thing that, you know, you're trying to get your mom to stop texting you mean things, you may really have to like follow it to the letter. Also, super recommend writing it out first. You know, this is not something that you want to do when you're at the top of the mountain and you're super emotional and distressed. Like, you can't do it at the top of the mountain. You have to be somewhat calm and able to use your logic. So again, do this when you're calm outside the situation, and then you're going to go and present it again when you're calm, when it's a good time, when the other person is most willing to receive the information. You really want to pick when and how you have this battle. So you're going to use a Dear Man if you want to get something. So let's see. Let's do something simple, assuming that you have like a roommate or a partner, and you feel like the chores have not been divided out equally. So D is for describe. You're going to describe in very objective, factual terms. Tiny Bunny or George or whomever you're talking to, I've noticed over the past 2 weeks, I have done the dishes every night. That is very clear, very true. It's not, you piece of crap, like how come I've had to do the dishes every night or whatever. There's no emotion in it. There's no opinions in it. It's not subjective. This is the part where you just kind of get on the same page. So you kind of lay down the groundwork and get on the same page. Sometimes that's enough. Like, I've done this with my beloved husband, and I'm like, I think over the past couple weeks, I've done the dishes every night, and he'll be like, oh, shit, my bad. I'll do them, please. Or I was sick, or I was busy, or I didn't even think about it, or I thought we were going to do every other week, or, you know, sometimes just describing it is enough. A lot of times it's not. So once you lay down the groundwork and just straight up say, Mom, I have noticed that you text me at 2 a.m. often with political and religious beliefs that you have. That happens a lot. What other situations? Boss, I have come to realize that this person that got hired on after me makes 20% more than I do. You're just stating what the situation is. And then you come in and you express your thoughts and feelings. So this is the part that is subjective, it is emotional. And it's just how this influences you. This is a part that people often leave out because it is hard and scary to put yourself out there and be like, this is messing with me. This hurts my feelings. This makes me angry. This is frustrating. This makes me sad. It's vulnerable to say that this has genuinely impacted you on an emotional level. It feels like you might be giving them ammunition or just admitting a weakness or just being soft and kind of tenderhearted is scary. That is kind of best addressed in the emotionalness part or the interpersonal effectiveness part. You know, if you think that you shouldn't have to ask for something, it's going to be really hard to do this. If you think that the other person should just know that it's fair that you trade out the chores, then it's going to be hard to do this. So you may have to get over yourself a little bit. If you really want the objective met, if you don't want to have to do dishes every night, if you want a 20% raise, if you don't want your mom texting you at all hours of the night, you have to tell them that that's what you want. You have to. Otherwise, it's just a word, you know, hold your breath. But this is being super grown, super mature, a little bit vulnerable. And this is the way you're most likely going to actually get what you want. So say this situation has got me kind of frustrated. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I feel like I'm not as important as this other employee. Mom, I feel like you are not respecting my belief system. And you can put whatever kind of thoughts and feelings you want in there. Again, we're not attacking anybody. We're not saying mean things here ever. We're not saying anything that's not true. We're just saying the true impact that this is having on me. The next part is to assert wishes. Really say, this is what I want to happen, what needs to be changed. Again, this is kind of scary for some reason. It doesn't really make logical sense that why would it be hard to just tell somebody what you want? But you go back into those myths of they're not going to like it. They're not going to like me. I shouldn't be pushy. I shouldn't be demanding. I shouldn't have to tell them what to do. They should just know that I want chocolates for my Valentine's Day. They should just know that, you know, whatever. Maybe they should. Maybe you've told them 1,000 times. Maybe it's not fair. Maybe. And if you really want that objective met, This is what you have to do, your part of it, to put it out there. This is what's happening, how I feel about it. This is specifically what I want to happen. So on the asserting place, again, this is why you need to do it ahead of time and have a lot of forethought into it, because what do you want? Do you want a 20% raise? Do you want a 50% raise? Do you want your mom to never text you? Do you only want her to text before 10? Do you want her to never say anything political or religious? Do you want your husband to do all of the chores or all the dishes and you do the drying? Like, you got to think through, like, what do you want to happen? So, roommates, I would like if every other night we traded off dishes. I would like for you to always do the dishes and I will always do the laundry. I would like this, that, or whatever. And you can say it in a really nice way, like, man, it would really help me out if we did it this way, or I would so appreciate it if this could happen. You don't have to be a jerk about it, but you just have to really put out on the line what your plan is for resolving the situation. Okay. The next stage is reinforcing. So again, let me go backwards a second. When you assert, we'll kind of get to this when we get down to the negotiation piece, which is the end. Shoot for the moon. You know, like, ask for the best. Hang on. You know, ask for 50% raise if you really want 20. Ask for them to do all the dishes if you really don't mind doing them sometimes. Ask for the maximum of what is realistically what you would like to happen. R is for reinforce the consequences. These are two parts, both positive and negative. This part can feel kind of manipulating. So can the negotiation part. That's not manipulative, it's just smart. Like, this is what really healthy people learned to do when they were 7. They were taught by emotionally intelligent people, socially intelligent people, and healthy, average, successful CEO level people just naturally kind of know that this works. It is not manipulative, it's just the truth. So you reinforce the consequences. I like to start off with the positive. Because again, like, our goal is to be effective. Our goal is to get what we want in the end. And so even if we don't like to, like, butter it up and be soft and warm, that's probably going to get your way the most, right? If you come in with like a soft, gentle kind of approach and you're not like harsh and yelling and mean and intense about it. So reinforce the positive consequences. This is really selling why they should do this thing that they're not doing already. Sell your case, right? These are the good things that they will get, that will happen if they do what you request. If they do what you're asserting, if I get a 20% raise, then I will be a more motivated worker. I will feel like this is a really fair place to work. I will be so invested and motivated to do this and that project. If you do the dishes every other night, I will be so relieved. I will be so grateful. I will think that this is a really fair household. Mom, if you stop texting me in the middle of the night, I will. So it's the opposite usually of the expression, on the expression of the emotions. The bad, difficult opinions and emotions that are there will be eased. Like, that's just an automatic, like, that's what happens on the reinforced consequences. I won't be worried anymore. I won't be frustrated anymore. I will feel grateful. I will be happy. I will be pleased. I will be relieved. I will think highly of you. Our relationship will get better. I will stop nagging about it. We won't have to fight about this anymore. It'll be resolved, etc. And all that is just a true natural consequence. So you don't want to say like, I will give you $100 or I will never have a problem ever again. You know, like don't say stuff that's not true. Just find the truth that will naturally happen or that you're willing to artificially kind of invoke, but only the real legit stuff. Don't be BS, don't be lying. And don't be exaggerating and making up stuff that's like not accurate. Now the negative consequences. This is a little bit delicate, but really tell them what bad things will naturally happen if the problem isn't resolved. Now, again, you have to be very careful not to say like, I'm going to divorce you if you don't start doing the dishes. If you're not really planning on doing that, I'm going to quit if you don't give me a raise. You don't want to be like making false threats. If you really will quit, then by all means, like if I can't get this raise, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to leave. Or if we don't get this dishes situation happening or fixed, then I'm going to keep nagging you. This is going to continue to be a problem. I'm going to continue to be frustrated and sad and feel taken advantage of. So it's just kind of a continuation, at the very bare minimum, it's a continuation of the thoughts and feelings. And presumably, if you're in a relationship, and any relationship, people don't want you to feel crappy. They don't want you to think bad. You know, they have some caring in them that they don't want you to be miserable and mad and angry, or they don't want to be nagged and harassed and have problems. Like, that's just human nature. They don't want it to be awful, typically. So you want to reward their desired behavior. And it is kind of a punishment, and that's kind of tricky terminology, but punishment is, it's just the natural consequence to the behavior. If you don't do your fair share of chores, I will be frustrated. I will think that you don't value me. I will just whatever the continuation is of the thoughts and feelings. And this is also where you put in like really firm boundaries. Mom, if you're not able, and again, you can say it in a nice way, but if you're not able to stop this habit of texting me at midnight, I'm afraid I might have to block you. I might have to turn my phone off at night. If you keep sending me these texts about this kind of content, I'm going to have to just not respond to it. And so you can even, or like, I'm going to quit, or I'm not going to speak to you for 3 months, or it can be really pretty severe consequences, but just make sure that you're willing to follow through with them. Now, inevitably, when people are told that they're doing something wrong or that there is a problem, they're going to get defensive. So M is to be mindful and counter defensiveness, which is sidetracking with a broken record. So mindfulness really means to be a broken record. So you also want to choose your broken record phrase ahead of time. So they're inevitably going to say, well, I was really sick and tired last week, or well, I was in a bad mood and I just didn't think about it, or well, you haven't been picking up your laundry off the floor, or well, we just don't have the resources when you were hired, or well, I think it's really important and you never listen to what I say when I talk to you, so I have to text, blah, 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 blah. All the well buts and all the reasoning behind the behavior, all of the justification for the behavior, all of the arguments and sidetracking, and all the defensiveness and all of the you did this, so that makes sense. You say, oh, I hear that is a really important issue. I would love to talk to you about that after we deal with the dishes. Sure, that makes a lot of sense. We need to deal with the dishes. We totally can discuss this. First, let's deal with the dishes. And so like, deal with the dishes is your broken record phrase. I understand that it's been a hard fiscal year. I need to talk about the raise. Oh, sure, you have been really busy with whatever. We need to get back to the raise. Definitely, I understand that you want me to hear your points. We need to talk about the midnight text. And so you just find a phrase, and because you don't want to get into conversations about all that other fluff, you don't say, well, I did that because you did that, and blah, 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 blah. You don't go down those roads. You pick a phrase, and don't be crappy about it and like a robot, but just gently say, the dishes, oh, the dishes, oh, the dishes. And nicely say, I would love to talk about your issue right now. Let's deal with this issue. And so you just keep pulling them back from this defensiveness and that sidetrack and this whatever with a broken record phrase to just stay on topic and deal with this one problem in the description. And then you can deal with all those other issues. A is the confidence. So this is just a reminder to not come in wringing your hands and like, oh, I hate to bother you and I'm so sorry to ask for this. And like, oh, I know I shouldn't even be bothered. Brene Brown says, don't wilt, don't shrink down like the little violet. Don't puff up and be all aggro like a pufferfish. Just stand your sacred ground. If you're doing a dear man, there's the assumption that you have the right to say, this is a problem, this is how I feel about it, and this is how I would like it to be changed. If you have a relationship and there's a problem in it, you have the right to say, this is happening, I don't like it, I want it to be different. So don't undercut your entire point by the way that you're presenting it in this kind of like, ooh, I shouldn't even bother, I'm so sorry kind of, like if you come in like that, the other person's not even going to listen to what you're saying. You know, you are saying, don't listen to me. Like, I don't even feel confident in my request. Why should you listen to that? So just have good eye contact, not whispering, not stammering, not saying, I don't even know and I'm not sure. Like, just be bold, be strong without being aggressive. The final piece is to negotiate. Again, this is just smart relationship skills. When you're coming in describing a problem that another person has an impact on or influence in, usually you're telling them that they're doing something wrong. They're not giving you a raise. They're texting you when they shouldn't be. They're not doing the dishes. They're going to get riled up and like kind of defensive. It's just natural. And if they acquiesce to what you're saying, they're going to feel like they lost. Even if it's totally legitimate, even if they're being a jerk, even whatever, it is human nature to not want to lose. And it is human nature to be defensive when you're told that you're doing something wrong. We know that that's how it's going to be. So we plan ahead for that. So you end on a negotiation. Again, this is why it needs to go in this order. This is why I said it a minute ago on the asserting, shoot for the moon. That way you have room to back down, right? And so if you know you're going to negotiate in the end, ask for the best thing ever, and then you have room to negotiate and barter and kind of back up a little bit. So be like, I will work overtime if I can get this raise. Mom, you can text me every Friday with every political thing that you wanted to say throughout the week. Roommates, I will do the dishes every other night. I will do the laundry all the time. I will do the dishes that if I cook, I'll do all the dishes that I made really dirty. Just something so that it looks like you're not just being, you are bad and you are wrong and you need to change everything and you lose and I win. That being said, if this is something like you can't be drunk and come home and break stuff, there's not really negotiation on that. Or, you know, I mean, sometimes there's just It is a very firm, if you're setting like safety boundaries, so boundaries are, you know, kind of a big, I don't want to call it pop, but like it's terminology that is out there that is important but can be kind of confusing sometimes. But this is what we're doing, is setting boundaries sometimes with a dear man. So if it's anything with safety, if it's anything just really super duper important, you may not have any room for negotiation. If you cheat on me again, I will leave you. There's no negotiation. Whatever it is. So by all means, don't negotiate if it's something incredibly serious or there's just no room for you to negotiate. But most situations, being willing to give a little, to get a little, go back and forth, find the solution with them. And again, asking for more at the beginning so you have room to kind of, you know, it's like when you're selling a car, you're going to ask for 20,000 when you're really willing to take 15,000. And then if you get 17, then great. If you get 20, then hooray for you. But just price it a little bit high on the front end. Then the last thing, they're like, nope, not giving you a raise. I don't care if you're upset about it. Not going to do this, not going to do that. Nope, I'm not doing the dishes. I don't care about dishes. Doesn't bother me if they're dirty. Nope, I cannot restrain myself from texting you in the middle of the night when this thing pops into my head. No. I don't really care, or I don't have the capacity, or I don't have the power. Like, I ain't doing what you want me to do. No. You don't leave it there. The very last thing that you do is turn the tables. And you say, dang, I've really put a lot of thought and effort into this problem, into the solution that I thought might work. This is a really big deal to me. I would like it to be solved. I would like it to be solved in this way. I hear you that you're not able to do the way that I thought might work. What do you propose? So when you turn the tables, you say, okay, this is a thing or genuine or whatever problem for me. This was my best guess at a solution. What do you propose? And then you just sit there in silence. Okay, I really tried hard to think of, you know, you could send me stuff on Fridays or you could do this or that. And okay, well, what do you think we could do to solve this problem? What do you think we could do to deal with the dishes? What do you think we can do to deal with the unfair percentages and the raises? Like, it's a really big deal. What do you think we should do? And then final notes. If they're like, I don't know, I don't care, I'm not gonna come up with a solution. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing I'm willing to do. And then it really is dropped. Then you go back and let the negative things happen, which sucks and is a real bummer. So if they finally it does not resolve it and you don't get your way and they don't agree and they don't propose anything else, then you continue to be upset, you continue to be mad, you continue to think that you're taken advantage of. And then if you set any stronger boundaries of, I'm going to block you in, or I'm going to quit, or I'm going to stop cooking, or I'm going to leave, or we're going to break up, or whatever, then you really do that. Again, that's why you don't want to like bluff on the negative consequences, because you're going to have to follow through at the end. Otherwise, people will just stop listening to you. So do not bluff and really let the negative consequences happen and remind them, like, okay, well, I guess I will be talking to you about this next week. I guess I will be really frustrated every night. I guess we will continue fighting about this. Oh, dang, I really hope that we could resolve this, but okay, I'm going to continue to be mad, continue to be frustrated, continue to be upset, continue to be sad, continue to be whatever. I'm not going to want to talk to you. I'm not going to want to engage with you. I'm not going to be in a good mood. Okay, like, And then you just let it happen, and then kind of remind them as it continues to happen, like, we can go back to the drawing tables and try to resolve this issue. If you don't like me being cranky, if you don't like me not cooking, if you don't like the fact that I've blocked you, if you don't like whatever, like, let's pull back to the negotiation sheet and try to find a different solution for this, because this is what is going to continue to happen if this situation is not resolved. That is about it. Yeah, it's up there. So that's a dear man. You can see how it goes. You know, I mean, the situation is you're not getting a good price on the car that you want, and this is frustrating to you and makes you think that you're getting taken advantage of, and you want this interest rate. And if you don't get it, then you're going to go somewhere else. And if you do get it, then you would be happy to sign right now. You know, you can do it on any kind of getting your kids to clean their rooms. Children, I've noticed that your room is really messy. It is really annoying to me, and it makes me feel like you know that I will clean it up. If you don't clean it up, then you're taking advantage of me. I want you to clean it up before dinner. If you do, then we'll have ice cream and a dance party. If you don't, then we will not have ice cream, and I will continue to be frustrated, and I will live whatever consequences. And then negotiate, like, okay, well, you don't want to do it now because you're watching your show. How about we all do it together after the show? You know, whatever makes sense, but this can be on getting chores done, getting people to buy you flowers, throw you a birthday party, call you more often, not call you so often, getting paid more, getting different work hours, getting your partner to be more affectionate or more complimentary, or getting them to take a shower more often, getting them to do, goodness, you know, just if you want another human being to do something different in your relationship and in regards to you and them, why not put it in a dear man format? You know, you don't always have to write it down. It's a good idea to write it down. But eventually, you know, when you are asking your kids to clean their room, you just naturally say, like, hey, kids, the room is messy because the stuff is on the floor. I don't like this. I would like you to clean it up before dinner. If you do, then that'll be great. You know, that's a dear man. It's just a casual kind of form of it. But that's a heck of a lot more effective than, oh, why is your room always so messy? You're not actually telling them to clean their room. You're not actually saying that it bothers you. You're not actually saying that if they don't do it by dinner, they won't get ice cream. You know, like, so often we think that we're doing a good job of communicating when we're just like, not. We're not saying what the situation is. We're not saying what we want. We're not saying what we think and feel about it. We're not saying what will happen if we do and don't get what we would prefer. We don't really do a great job. So write it down a million times, and write it down on silly stuff like, you know, putting the toilet seat down, just so you have the practice of thinking through what is the objective description, what is the subjective description, what is the asserting of my requests, what are the consequences, etc. And then when you really are asking your colleague to not be passive aggressive in their emails to you, it'll be easier. When you really are asking your dad not to guilt trip you into, you know, visiting more often, you'll be able to. When is that really intense? When you really are asking your husband to get a divorce and you keep the kids full custody, like, you will be able to do it in a more successful, less emotional way if you have practiced a whole bunch of times. Okay. So page 127 is just more a explanation of all that. I'm trying to think of what we have time. Otherwise, go over briefly and just look at the troubleshooting part. It's on page 132. So if you've done a dear man and it didn't work, and kind of if you did a give or a fast, which we'll get into next week. But if you did one of these skills that didn't work, you look at this and say, what the heck, what's up? Step one, do you know the skill that you need? If you don't, go read the instructions. Did you follow it to the letter? Do I know how to be skillful? Do I know how to say what I want? Did I follow the instructions to the letter? And if not, go back and do that. Hopefully you have an individual therapist where you can like do phone coaching, and that's method of like, dang it, I just did the dear man and it just blew up all over the place. What did I do wrong? Which, by the way, is what phone coaching is for. It's for like tutoring on the skills primarily. So step one, like, did I even know what skill to use and did I use it correctly? Step two, did I actually know what I wanted out of this situation? You know, maybe you think that you want your partner to do the dishes, but what you really want is them to acknowledge how hard you're working. You know, you think that you wanted your mom to stop texting at night, but what you really wanted was her to be more encouraging about your own philosophy. And so maybe you were undecided about what you really wanted in the interaction. You weren't sure about your priorities. Maybe you were asking for way too much that like nobody is going to give you $100,000 raise. Maybe you were asking too little. Maybe you weren't being flexible enough. Maybe fear or shame was getting in the way of really being bold and asking for what you wanted. So check through all those things. None of that. Go to number 3. Are the short-term goals getting in the way of the long-term goals? So this would be like you just cheated on your spouse and your short-term goal of them doing the dishes is having priority over the long-term goal of staying married and working through your infidelity. So maybe now's not the best time to do a dear man on the dishes when you just really messed up. That would be more of a give situation. So it's the now I need to feel like I don't want to feel scared right now, so I'm not going to assert my needs. And then guess what? Your needs never get met because you're always avoiding the fear, avoiding the discomfort, and your short-term goals are overruling the long-term ones. Is emotion mind controlling what I do instead of wise mind? So am I too emotional? Am I too angry? Am I too scared? Too worried? Too whatever? And that's what's getting in the way of me being effective. If that's the case, use distress tolerance. So number 4, is it just the emotions that are getting in the way? Am I too upset to do this? Am I at my skills breakdown points? And if so, then do distress tolerance. Wait. And maybe you have to address this dishes situation 20 times before you're actually calm and confident enough to be able to do an effective dear man. That's okay. Don't do it when you're upset. Are worries, assumptions, and this getting in the way? That goes back to like, I shouldn't have to tell him what I want for my birthday. He should just know. And he obviously doesn't love me if he doesn't know. And I'm just going to be mad about it and passive aggressive and pouty and not get what I want for my birthday and never learns what I want for my birthday. And we're going to run into the situation next year. Like, it sucks to be grown and mature. It just does. We have to let go of a lot of our fairy tale kind of wishing and wanting and just these ideas and myths about how relationships especially are supposed to be. I don't know why we get that idea in the first place, that magical love relationships are like this psychic connection, and if they truly love you, then they will know what they're supposed to do and have the skills to do it. It's just not effective. Even the best relationships and the best people, and you could be married to Prince Charming and he still will screw up your birthday every time until you tell him, I really want a cake and presents and balloons. And then if he is Prince Charming, he'll do it next time. But don't expect him to know that it happened. So our thoughts about bad consequences blocking my action, thoughts about not deserving things going my way, am I calling myself names, don't believe the myths. And then the final troubleshooting is the environment just too powerful. Is your mom a hot flaming mess? And no matter how skillful you are in asking her not to do this thing that bothers you, she does not have the capacity to stop herself. Is this a megalithic, giant, soul crushing corporation that you're working for, and no matter how effective you are with your little manager boss, they can't change this giant monstrosity. The environment is just too strong. You know, maybe it's something more subtle, and that, you know, they really did just hire their sister and they're going to give her a 20% raise, and they're not going to give it to you. You know, that is the environment. And no matter how effective you are, sometimes it just won't work. Sometimes dear man just does not work. And that really like stabs people to the core, because they want, like, if I'm using this skill, I should get the result that I want. And sometimes it's just not the case. Sometimes you're not doing it right. Sometimes you're too emotional. Sometimes you don't know what you want. Sometimes you're believing in this. Sometimes there are things that you can change to make it more effective. Sometimes it's just not going to work. And that sucks. But you can let the negative consequences happen, and you can go to sleep at night peacefully on your pillow, knowing that you were grown and you were mature and you were skilled and you did the absolute best thing that you could have done to possibly have gotten what you wanted. And it still didn't work. But at least you can sleep easy knowing that you tried your damnedest and there's nothing else in the world that could have been done to get this thing in any different way. So at least at that point you can let go and let God and know that you tried your hardest. Okay, we will end there. Next time we'll do give and fast. They're pretty short, so they will be in one section, and then after that we'll talk about how to meet people and make relationships and join groups and kind of get over being introverted or being shy or just not having social skills. There's some like pretty straightforward things that you can literally just put into action. Yeah, so I mean, it's still another 5 sessions at least, probably, of interpersonal. So thanks for joining, y'all. I'm glad there was not a cat disaster today. Keep leaving comments and asking questions if you have any, and we'll see you all next week.